Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Very happy and excited to be able to speak here today and to be here at the conference and share knowledge and experiences with such dedicated people working for the animals. It's very inspiring. Can anybody hear me like this? Great. I'm Lente de Rooy. I'm from the Netherlands. I work for an organization called Animal Rights. Animal Rights is a Dutch-Belgian organization that focuses on 4 themes. That is fur, hunting, slaughter, or animal agriculture, and animal testing. I'll tell a little bit more about animal rights later. The main thing I'm going to talk about today is the educational campaign about plant-based eating. We started last year. It's called Plant Power. With Plant Power, we mostly leaflet, hand out booklets about plant-based eating. We have a lot of other plans with Plant Power as well. I'll get back to that later too. My goal today is to get you very excited about leafleting and to give you the tips and knowledge you need to start a similar campaign. I'll talk about 40 minutes and then we'll have about 10 minutes for questions, so please save any questions until the end. I'll tell a little bit more about myself first, how I ended up doing what I do now. I'm 22 years old, I'm a dietitian. I became vegetarian when I was 10 after my class went on a trip to a nearby farmer who had sheep and cow. And this farmer showed us this young steer jumping around in a small pen, barely bigger than himself. So happy that he got attention from all the kids. And while we petted this steer, the farmer told us that the week after, a steer would be set to slaughter. So that's when I first saw the animals behind meat, and I became vegetarian. When I was 15, I stumbled upon information on the internet about milk. I didn't know animals were killed in that process too. So when I told my parents I wanted to stop drinking milk, my father said, "Oh, you want to become vegan?" Never heard of the word, didn't know what it was, but when I looked it up, I was sold. It sounded so right. I started doing voluntary work. Not long after that, I started at a local animal shelter, became more active, and signed up for translating work at an organization for against animal testing. I don't think I was really helping the organization with my translations back then because I was horrible at spelling, but I did get in touch with the director, Bob Molenaar, who is now the director of Animal Rights. So I started going to demonstrations, became more active for the animal shelter. And I really enjoyed this last, working with animals. But as I learned more about the amount of suffering in the meat, dairy, and egg industry, and the number of animals in this industry, I didn't feel right to put all my time and energy into taking care of cats and dogs. So about 2 years ago, I stumbled upon vegan outreach online. I read their entire website, all the essays, got excited immediately. Reaching so many people in such an easy way with what is happening to the animals and how people can stop contributing to their suffering was such an eye-opener. I couldn't understand why this wasn't already happening in the Netherlands and in Belgium. So I handed out some booklets of vegan outreach to see if it would be something for me, because I'm not that much of a hero standing on the streets approaching people that frighten me, so I tried. I found it pretty scary, but I still was so excited about it. So I bought the books of Matt Ball, one of the co-founders of Vegan Outreach. And together with a translator, I translated their Compassionate Choices booklet to Dutch. And shortly after, Robert Molenaar, the director of Animal Rights, asked me to set up a leafleting campaign for animal rights. So Animal Rights was started 9 years ago as an organization against animal testing. We now focus on 4 themes, as I said. Unfortunately, I don't have time to talk more in depth about all these, but in short, we work towards a ban on fur farms by making undercover footage. We organize hunt saps to prevent goose getting shot. You can see here we're holding horns to warn the animals so they stay high in the air so the hunters can shoot them. We make undercover footage in factory farms and hold demonstrations at slaughterhouses. You can see here we're giving the pigs in the truck some water as a sign of compassion. We try to prevent animal experiments and get animals into sanctuaries instead of being killed after experiments. So with all these themes, we show people what's wrong. But especially when talking about animals used for food, we wanted not only to show people what's wrong, but also the solution. We wanted to show that you contribute to their suffering when buying animal products and that you don't need these products to stay healthy. So inform people about plant-based eating. So that's a little background. First, I'm going to tell you what we do with Plant Power and how and why. And then I'll tell a little bit more about the process, how we got to where we now, mistakes we made, things that are important to know when you want to start something similar. But first, I'm very curious about others who are already leafletting. I was here last year, saw the presentation of Dietitian of Vegan Outreach, and there were so many people in the audience that day that were already leafletting. It was really cool to hear. So there must be people here today too. So are there any people who leaflet or are maybe thinking about starting? Cool. Can you give people the microphone, or can you tell a little bit about what you do?
Who wants to say something?
I saw a lot of hands.
Well,
there.
Yeah? I'm Georg, I'm from Austria, and we translated the booklet of animal equality to German and adapted it to Austria. And we have launched a national leafleting campaign 1 month ago. And this is why I'm listening to your talk, because it fits.
You're really in the starting process.
We are in the starting process.
Cool.
It's the first month.
Okay, exciting. Is there anybody else who is already leafletting or thinking about starting?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm thinking to start because I already went to campaigns from the 269 association, and so I saw how they work, and I'm thinking to start. I'm living close to here in Belgium, so at the moment it's completely not a place where vegans are common. I mean, it's really a lot of meat eaters in this region, so that's why I want to start in, it calls Arlon in this city. So I don't know yet how it will work.
Okay. Cool, thanks. Anybody else? Okay, I'll continue. Thank you for sharing. We started with a translation of the Compassionate Choices booklet by Vegan Outreach, and in March we started with our own booklet. It's 16 pages, and we have different ones for the Netherlands and for Belgium. I don't have the booklet here up front. We do have it at our table. It is in Dutch, but we do have an English translation of the text digitally, so if you want to take some with you, please do. The format is as followed. We first introduced plant-based eating as something that a lot of people do, that's getting more and more popular. We also mentioned on the third page that plant-based eating is very healthy for you, and we mentioned how many animals you save by doing so. Then we tell and show what happens to animals in factory farms and slaughterhouses. We also mentioned fish and have a personal story about a rescued animal to show that these animals are individuals. We also have a piece about the environment. Then we talk about health, that plant-based eating can be very healthy for you. We added a quote of a dietitian that plant-based eating is the biggest present you can give your body. We mentioned some sources of protein, calcium, iron, omega-3 fatty acids. Then we showed a more practical side, that we give meal suggestions, show products and where you can buy them. We also added 4 recipes, and we finished with a direct encouragement to try. There are several studies done on the effectiveness of leafletting. I'm not going to discuss them all here. If you're interested in these, you can find these studies on these websites. I hope you can read it. You can also find the summarized conclusions of these studies on the screen. The Humane League Labs has a lot of interesting reports about other important aspects as well, like which picture is the best for the cover of a booklet, which pictures of vegan meals are most appealing for non-vegans, etc. Also, the website of animal charity evaluators is really interesting to look at. What I've learned from these studies is mostly that it's really hard to conduct solid research on this subject. We did use some of the insights from these studies because there hasn't been done any of these studies like this in Europe. And I think it's important to keep the results of these studies in mind instead of only relying on your own experiences, but I think it's important to be critical about these studies. Because only a part of the people who receive a booklet go vegetarian or vegan, whether it's 1 in 50 or 1 in 100, a bigger group of people who receive a booklet start eating less animal products, which also saves animals. And because it's such a fantastic way to reach so many people, it is a great way to make a difference for the animals. So even if it's only 1 in 100 that goes vegetarian or vegan, by handing out 100,000 booklets, you save 10,000 of animals from being born and killed every year. Printing the booklets costs a lot of money. They're about 10 cents each, so when you hand out 100,000, that's 10,000 euros. We financed the printing in several ways. We started with applying for funds at charity foundations. We sold certificates that people could buy to sponsor the printing. You can see some of the selfies with these on the screen. And we started with selling advertisement space in the booklets. We do want ads that are of added value to the content of the booklets. So, for example, we have vegan web shops, vegan ice cream, a book about veganism. About the leafleting itself, I'll keep it short. It's pretty easy, but when you take a couple of things into account, it goes so much better. Very important thing is body language. If you feel uncomfortable or stand close to the side or an object, less people are going to take the booklet from you. So being confident, or at least look like you are, helps a lot. Leaning towards people when offering the booklet works really well. Maybe because people seeing you're making such an effort to hand it to them, they feel bad about not taking it. Also, handing the booklet with a stretched arm in front of your body works really well. When you hand it with a stretched arm, people won't have to come so close to you to take it. It works really well. Also, hand it to people's hand instead of higher or lower. Makes it easier for them to accept it. When leafleting with more people, stand next to each other so people have to walk by you. There's 3 short videos on YouTube with some tips they're really handy to look at. I've put the name of the video and the name of the account that uploaded them on the screen. Target audience, we focus on students. There are several reasons for this. Students usually live on their own, cook their own meals. They're in the time of their lives. They become more critical. Young people are more likely to go vegetarian or vegan. Also, they're easily reached at colleges and universities. Also, if a person of, say, 20 becomes vegetarian or vegan, compared to a 50-year-old, over the course of his life, the student saves way more animals than the 50-year-old, assuming they both stay vegan. Most people will take the booklet or not and walk along. Sometimes people ask questions, and rarely you get some comments like, I love meat, or I love animals on my plate, stuff like that. It doesn't happen a lot, and I think it's important to not make a big deal out of this. When you hand out thousands of booklets, reaching so many people, saving so many animals over the course of time, who cares that 1 or 2 people made a comment? Another tip, make it easy for volunteers to come. For example, offer them a ride and make sure they have a nice time. Introduce new people to each other, go out for a drink or something to eat afterwards. Of course, you have a goal, but leafleting can be fun. And when people have a nice time, they're more likely to continue to come. We also noticed that people will find it hard to take breaks. So we always take coffee or tea and cookies with us and just have a short break together. I want to tell a little bit about festivals. When the schools are closed in the summer, we've handed out at festivals. We were a little skeptical about this because at first when we planned it, because we feared there would be a lot of drunk people. We feared we would be sent away by security at every festival. But now I'm very enthusiastic about it. We've handed out 20 festivals this summer, and most of them were a success. We tried a lot of different festivals, from music to food festivals, free ones where you had to buy a ticket. Leafleting at festivals is, in my experience, a bit more chaotic than leafleting at schools, because at least with Dutch festivals, the website of the festival rarely gives you the information you need, like where's the entrance, how many entrances are there, where can you park. So sometimes it took 10 minutes to set up, sometimes hours. Also, most festival organizations don't like you leafleting in front of their festival, so you have to be prepared. In the Netherlands, in most municipalities, you're allowed to leaflet without a permit. So we always took a screenshot of the website of the municipality with us to show that we were allowed to be there. It's been handy at every festival. At the festival, we tried the idea of putting down a box or a suitcase, as you can see here, where people could return the booklets, ideally after reading them. When handing out at festivals, a lot of people think we are handing out the program of the festival, which is great because everybody takes it. But it also means that more of them are thrown away. So now we put a box or a container about 50 or 100 meters behind the people leafleting. Ideally, where people who just took the booklet can't see it immediately. So this way, a lot of people put them in their bags, and the people who haven't walk further see the box and hand them in, so we can reuse them. Even works without the sign if you just put a couple of booklets in there yourself. For the festivals, we made event pages on Facebook, which turned out a great way to attract new volunteers. People can invite friends via Facebook. It worked really well, and our group of volunteers grew a lot during the summer. I want to tell a little bit about how we started. We set ourselves the goal to hand out 100,000 booklets in 2016. We also set goals for likes for the Plant Power Facebook page, followers on Twitter. I think it's important to have measurable goals. You can evaluate every once in a while and see how it's going, and if you should start thinking about a different approach. We decided to launch the campaign by organizing a workshop for volunteers. We invited everybody who was interested. I talked a lot about why we wanted to do this, talked an hour about leafleting itself, techniques, having effective conversations on the streets. It was a really nice workshop. Everybody had a great time. And then at the end, I asked who wanted to start or maybe become a team leader. And it was like silence. So this is mostly the reason we organized this workshop only once, because you can talk so much about leafleting, but most people are going to be nervous the first time. And that's not going away by talking, but just by doing. They just have to try and see if it's something for them. Also, organizing these workshops costs a lot of time. So it happens that people sign up and eventually never take part in actual leafleting. So it's a bit of a waste of time to inform people if they're not going to be active. So now we just send them a document by email with all the info on it that we used to tell in the workshop. So this way people are informed without the risk of putting a lot of time in people who aren't going to participate in actual leafleting. We work with volunteers and what we call team leaders. Team leaders organize actions in their region, take the booklets with them, and volunteers help whenever they can. The team leaders work voluntarily as well, by the way. Having team leaders increased the amount of booklets handed out immensely. Before having team leaders, I just made appointments with people to leaflets and work together. And the last couple of months, we have 5 voluntary team leaders, and we could organize so much more actions. Also, having team leaders is handy for different reasons as well, and that is that a lot of volunteers are really enthusiastic, but if nobody plans something, then nothing happened. So a lot of volunteers want to come when something is planned, but only a few want to organize. So having a couple of people who take the initiative is very important. So plans for the future. We definitely want to keep leafleting, hand out more booklets every year. Something we're working on and I'm very excited about is actual leaflets of 1 page. We're planning to do through mailboxes door to door. We're planning to do a trial run with 2 different leaflets to see which leaflet gets the most people to look up more information online. So if this works, we could reach even more people because putting them through mailboxes goes so fast and it would save a lot of money and paper. We're also working on a separate booklet full of recipes we can give to people who are really interested. We're planning to do lectures in schools, and we want to make sure restaurants and canteens offer more vegan options. Just last week, we started a petition to get more vegan options at a restaurant chain called La Place. It's going pretty well. But as I said, we definitely want to keep leafletting and reach more people this way. So I hope I got everybody excited about leafletting, and I hope that if you're thinking about starting, that you know, sorry, now have a better idea how to start. If you have any questions after today, or if you want to talk about or discuss something, you can always contact us. We've learned so much from the Rhenus Alliance from Denmark and from Vegan Outreach. We'd love to help you in any way we can. So feel free to ask us anything here at the conference or send us an email. So thank you for listening. Are there any questions?
Do you also try to start a conversation with the people that you hand the leaflet to?
Mostly not, because the goal is really to reach as many people as you can. And if you have conversations with everybody, you can reach way less people. But of course, when people are really interested and have questions, we definitely try to have a effective conversation with them.
And what do you say? Do you have a personal line that you always use when you hand out the leaflet?
We tried a lot of different lines, but mostly when you're at a busy place, you can say like hi or good morning. It's really enough. When you say something that indicates what the booklets is about, less people take it. So that's a decision you have to make. Do you want as much people to take it? You say something like hi. Do you want less people to throw it away? You say, you can say something like it's about food that interests people. Health. Don't say vegan because nobody takes it. It's a decision you have to make what you say. We mostly say something like hi or something like that.
Thank you.
Anybody else who has a question?
Hi, I'm sorry if I missed that, but you showed some links with some studies where they tried to measure the impact.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, have you set up any measurement other than the goal of 100,000 leaflets per year, where you're trying to actually observe if there's any result and impact to the behavior of the people? Thanks.
Well, that's really hard because a lot of people just take it and you don't hear from them anymore. Sometimes you get like an email, like I got your booklet, or sometimes people come to you, but it's really hard to measure it with some anecdotes. So that's just really hard. Did I answer your question like that? Or? Well,
I took it as a no.
That if it's measurable, you mean? Or if we measure it? Yeah, we tried, but it's really hard. So, yeah, it's more you know it works, but in which, whether it's 1 in 50 or 1 in 100, we don't know. So, yeah.
How do you deal with the no stickers on the mailboxes?
We don't put them through those boxes.
Because I reckon like a lot of people interested in this subject would have a no sticker on their mailbox.
Yeah, I don't think you will make those people happy if you put them through anyway, so we won't do that.
Hi. The leaflet that you showed seems to be pretty full of information. Do you think that a smaller one with less information would be more effective, especially if you have the cases like 100 meters away from the people handing out the leaflets, like just like with, I don't know, like 1 page or maximum 2 pages? Do you think that would be a good idea? To have these also in addition.
Sorry, what did you say last?
Maybe to have these also in addition to the longer ones that you have.
Yeah, you have this, you want to give people as much information as possible, but you also want, you know, it's really expensive when you make it very, with a lot of pages. So we did try to put a lot of information in less pages, so it's really full. We found it really hard to decide to make it with less pages because there's so much you want to tell people. So that's why it's still 16 pages. But yeah, it's just really hard to measure if it works better with less or more information. So it's really a decision you have to make based on less information you have. So that it's a really hard decision.
If we want to start with you, but in another region and in another language, how does it work for to create the association and to translate? Do we have to do it ourselves? Or?
Where are you from?
From Belgium, but the French part.
Okay. We haven't really thought about that yet. But if you want to come to our table and talk about it, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
You spoke about possibly making 2 different booklets and test their impact. Can you tell a bit more about this project?
Yeah, that's putting them through mailboxes. And we want to make the goal of the leaflets get people to the website to look up more information about plant-based eating. So we want to make 2 different web pages and put on QR codes on the leaflets so we can measure which leaflet gets the most people to the website to look up more information.
What do you want to test?
We want to make one more focused on animals and, of course, some plant-based eating, and one more focused on health, and to look which leaflet gets most people to look up more information about plant-based eating, like recipes and stuff like that, to see which leaflet gets people to really start thinking about it.
When you first started, you told that you were reaching out to people to create those leaflets, and you were asking for donations to create the actual leaflets. How do you make it? How do you reach out to different charities or people to donate for creating the actual leaflets?
Yeah, you have a couple of funds like Fetch Fund. And you can just send them a request. You also have a lot of foundations, like some banks or even family funds and stuff like that. You can just send them with a request for money to a project. So that's what we did.
Anyone else? Then thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.